Okay, now I'm recording.
Okay, welcome everybody, and thank you for being here. Today's conversation is one that touches the heart, the spirit, and the true meaning of resilience. I have the honor of sitting once again with someone whose life reminds us that adversity is not the end of our story, it can be the beginning of our purpose. Jose Pereira survived nearly 5 years of wrongful imprisonment as part of the Citgo Six. What could have shattered him instead, what could have shattered him instead reshaped him. And from that experience, he made a promise, one that became the heartbeat for his nonprofit, Angels Helping on Earth. Now, today we're not revisiting the captivity chapter because you could go and see that in my first interview um, on my YouTube channel, and I'll put the link in the chat. Actually, what we're exploring is what he did with it, how pain became service, how suffering became leadership, and how his organization is helping trauma survivors, immigrants, and leaders rebuild their lives with dignity, faith, and hope. Jose, in the past weeks, the world has watched as Venezuela made global headlines with the capture of Nicolas Maduro, a story that shines a harsh light on injustice and human suffering. In moments like these, global audiences look for voices of experience, empathy, and real leadership. Given your lived experience, not only as a business leader and former political hostage, but now, as someone dedicated to helping others rebuild after trauma, how do you see this moment in history shaping the conversation about leadership, justice, and healing?
Well, this is an interesting question because today today I was seeing the media because Maria Corina Machado, the Nobel Peace Prize and the future president of Venezuela, had a historical meeting today with Donald Trump. And after the finishing of the meeting, when she went to the press, she announced that Donald Trump is going to support her and Venezuela is going to go to a transition to the freedom. So there's going to be a route for election. They didn't have time because this is a very complex process because the people that doesn't know Venezuela,
Right.
Venezuela during the last more than 2 decades were through a communist regime that that the way they created the structure was to be from eternity in the power. So they create an organization that will be able to be removed. The only way to get removed was the way Nicolas Maduro was removed, because this is not. It's difficult to the people to understand because this is not a normal government. First of all, that guy was illegitimate because he lost the election and he stole it, so he was not a president. So President Maduro, no, he was a dictator that stole the election. Period. And he had this apparatus where he was not alone. There is this act more like a mob that like a government. It's like the mob, like the mafia. So now they removed Nicolas Maduro, but the other people are still there. So all the militia, the gun guys, so all the evil guys are still there. So they need to be removed. So that's the commitment that today Trump did to Maria Corina Machado. So there's going to be a transition process. How long it will take is very complex answer because these guys created here for decades. But
Right.
but now with the support of the U.S. and with all the military power, it's going to happen because
It's going to happen. Yeah.
it's going to happen. It's going to take, but it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So answering your question, because you talk about resilience, the Venezuelan people are going to be a case study in the future, how we could support during decades all the humiliation, all the killing, all the suffering, not one, millions, millions. We're going to be seen in the future like the Jews in the Holocaust, literally, literally, literally. It's a pain, it's a shame, but that's what's going to be in the future, in the book of history, the suffering that a dictator did to millions of people. So now the people now are finally finding light after the tunnel. And the Venezuelans have been so resilient that you talk to any Venezuelan today, even with all the suffering they had gone through, even that they had to flee their country. There are 8 million people are all over the world. You find today Venezuelan all over the world. You go to Greenland, you will find a Venezuelan. You go to Alaska, you go to the moon, you will find a Venezuelan. Literally, literally.
Yeah.
But everybody, even they have gone through a lot of things, always are in good humor, are trying to build up their life. They're selling arepas, whatever, they're moving on. So Venezuelans have that demonstrated what really resilience is. If somebody wants to know what is a people that is resilient, are the Venezuelans. What will happen with that? The comeback of Venezuela is going to be wonderful, because now the rebuild of the country with all these companies coming back again to Venezuela. Trump offered $100 billion to rebuild the country. That's going to be like the Marshall Plan. And all the Venezuelans that have been gone to the country and have been reshaping their future in other countries, that when they return, Venezuela is going to become the Dubai of the Latin America, my friend. I can tell you.
Oh, wow, that's all good news. That's good. Jose, I want to thank you for being here. What I really want to talk about today is, you had a promise that you made to yourself in those darkest hours when you were held hostage, and how it really became a lifeline for others. I've heard you say adversity doesn't define us, but what we do with it really does. What was the first small act of meaning you chose while still in captivity that later became the seed for angels helping on earth?
Well, to your audience that hasn't heard the story, during maybe the third year of my captivity, but that time we were in a moment that we were having daily prayers and we were reading the Bible. So we were like was in a mood that very connected to God. And when we finished the night and we finished praying, we were really resting in peace. So we were in a dungeon in that dark moment. We were in peace. And I went to bed. And as I said, I was sleeping like a baby, literally sleeping like a baby, because I felt that I was protected by God. And I went to a very profound sleep, and I had a dream. A dream came to me, and that day I had a dream. It was God putting me to the future. It was like I was like the Christmas Carol thing, going to the future.
Right. Future tripping. Yeah.
So I saw myself in the future in a place, and I saw students in classrooms. I saw a lot of things unfolding. By the way, I saw a TV studio that today I have one. So I saw a lot of things that I said, "What is this?" And he said, "This is your foundation. This is your foundation." And I said, "What is this about?" They said, "You're going to take care of a Hispanic community, and the name is going to be Angels Helping in Earth." And when I woke up, I said, "This was a dream." I could not believe it because it was so precise. So I took a pen and a paper and write down what I have seen in the dream. And I sent that to my wife.
Wow.
And years after, when I came back, she showed me the paper. That she kept it because she got so surprised. Why this guy did this? And she thought that I was going crazy. Because she said, "Why this guy's thinking in this?" I kept that in there, and I began to write my book, and I began to get distracted doing things. But every time I was doing things, it was like driving me to that direction. And when I get involved in my church, I begin to do church service, I begin to see so much suffering in the Spanish community here in Houston, because I never had the opportunity to have that contact with the people.
Right.
And I begin
Right.
to see so much. You know, you have been in Mexico, and we are in
Yeah.
the border where a lot of Mexican people from Salvador, Guatemala,
Right.
Honduras, and now Venezuelans, and a lot of need. I'm in a ministry that we do food drive, and we take care of non-perishable food to the people in need. So you can know the needs of the people.
Right.
And then I begin to have my healing with my trauma recovery therapist, Daisy Rosenbaum. And talking with her, we became friends. And one day I said, Daisy, you know, I had this idea. And she said, oh, I would love to work with you. And now she's going to partner with me. And
Wow.
so everything began to come alone. And I said, okay, I don't know how, I didn't have a clue how to do a foundation. So,
Right.
you know, there's a very complex paperwork. And I said, okay, I need to learn how to do this, because. And one day I was I saw that a pastor was doing a seminar how to create your own foundation. And
Right.
I went to the seminar. It was an online seminar, and I heard that guy talking. I said, oh, this guy is smart. And I sent a text message. I said, Pastor, I would love to talk with you. And we have a Zoom, and his name is Pastor Willie Peterson, and I said, Pastor, I love what you said, and I had this idea. I want to do this. And he said, oh, I have a friend that has something similar, but you know, she never finished. It's a great idea. I said, Pastor, I want to work with you. And he said, why me? And I said, because God told me that it has to be you. and,
What could
the,
you say?
and the pastor said, oh, if God said it, I had to do
Right.
it. and he began to help me, and everything began to go. And then came Trump and all these immigration issues. I thought that the foundation was not going to be approved, because it's, oh, I'm trying to create a foundation for immigrants. Oh, they're
Yeah.
going to block this. No, it was approved. It got approved.
Wow.
And everything has been going. This is something that God is doing.
Yeah,
The only,
absolutely. When it goes smoothly like that, you know, God, it's God's work for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. So,
Oh
so
my God.
now the foundation has 4 pillars. It's going to be concentrated in the Spanish community, but I in my webpage, you go to the webpage angelsin.earth, you can find the 4 pillars. The 4 pillars, the most important pillar is number 1, that is trauma recovery. That's the main thing. Why, Lucie? Because let me tell you, one of the biggest issues the Spanish community has here in the U.S. is that when they cross the border from Mexico, or when they come from other Latin
Right.
America
Hispanic.
countries, they are escaping from their country because maybe they have been raped, or maybe have problems,
Right.
or are starving like the Venezuelan, or are having victim of human trafficking, drug trafficking. So there are
Right.
many issues in these countries. Normally the people come here escaping and want to rebuild their life. And they come with trauma. They already come here with trauma process.
Right.
And now they have the trauma that if I'm going to stay, if they're going to send me back to my country,
Send me
I'm
back.
scared. So it's trauma under trauma and trauma under trauma, and nobody takes care of that. What are you creating? You are creating generational trauma. So that
True.
trauma is going to go to their kids and to their grandkids. So you're going to create a society full of trauma. So that's why this is the main pillar. Help them to do trauma recovery through 101, through seminars. Daisy, she's a specialist in trauma recovery, and she's organizing a team on that area. The other second pillar is the legal assistance. Not only for immigration. If somebody is legally here and wants to do a startup but doesn't know how to begin a business, legal support.
Yeah.
The third pillar is seminars, leadership seminars, citizen seminars,
Right.
English as a second language seminar. One of the big issues that the Spanish community here has, there are people that have 40 years here, don't speak English,
Yeah, I know.
and they are like they were living. There are areas here in Houston that you go and it's like living in Mexico.
Oh,
So
I know. I know. Yeah.
literally living in Mexico. So the people don't embrace the culture, and let me tell you, when I have heard sometimes Trump saying that the people need to speak English and the people have, and it's true. The people,
Yeah.
if you make this your country, you need to embrace the culture of this country.
We do.
That doesn't mean that you're gonna lose your heritage. Because I'm Venezuelan, I will never lose my heritage. I love the
Right.
arepas, I love my empanadas, I love my hallacas, I love so I love everything. But I recognize that I'm living here in the U.S. and I need to embrace the culture. And if I had to
Yeah.
salute the flag, I had to salute the flag. So so that's the point. So, and this is something that part of those training are to that. And the fourth pillar is food drive assistant. I'm not an expert on that, but I have people here that are very heavy in Houston that are going to be partnered in that area. This December, for example, we did a toy donation.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw
Let me
that in
tell
video.
you, I went with a friend with a church that he's connected, and they gave me like 200 toys, and we did a
Wow.
big toy donation. So, so the things are coming together. Today, I'm in the process that because Pastor Willie, he's a very funny guy, but he says, Jose, you are going to be the conduit. Many people want to help because many people want to help that doesn't know how to say it. Come to me, come to me, and I can channelize all that because this is the I want to be the conduit
Yeah.
to help.
Well, that is so. I love the way that so many people um, survive hardship, but not everybody's transformed it into a mission like you. So I know that you had that moment that when you realized that your suffering had to become someone else's survival guide. You know,
Mhm.
so to be clear, your nonprofit supports immigrants and trauma survivors rebuilding their lives. Is that
Mhm,
correct?
mhm, 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 mhm.
Is
Yes.
there a story, without maybe naming names, that forever shifted the way you see freedom and what it truly means?
About the transformation through the foundation.
Yeah,
Oh well,
exactly.
yeah. I've started recently. Is still in the process, but we already begin to touch people. For example, we did this this toy donation here in my house, in the yard of
Mhm.
my house. I have a group. I have a group of my church that we meet every Wednesday here in my house, and we're trying to grow the group. And the people that came to the toy donation are gonna become part of the group. So
Wonderful.
and becoming part of the group, uh, the the leader of my group that we do it here in my house, he's an incredible guy. He was a pastor from California. He was a very high time missionary guy, a lot of wisdom. So is a way that people can restore their life. People
Right.
that come. So I want to help to they restore their life like God restored my life. So that's today my mission.
Well, that's wonderful. So, I just want to mention that the world is watching Venezuela right now, not just the politics, but the human stories behind it. And as someone who survived political imprisonment, and now you're serving people rebuilding their lives after trauma,
Many
what response?
Venezuelans are going to return to the country, but many of them are going to stay here. For example, my case, I have my life here. I have all my
Yeah.
kids, my grandson, everybody here. I'm not going to go anywhere. But if they need support as to advise some process, I have told them I can do it. I'm going to be this weekend in a meeting where it's going to be Maria Corina Machado. I'm going to meet her in person, and I'm going to
Oh,
I'm going to have the opportunity to put my service to her.
wonderful. That will really move things along. You said that purpose can be louder than pain. What purpose kept you alive in captivity, and how does that purpose show up in today in the people you serve today?
That my family, coming
Your
back
family.
to my family was my purpose. So the reason I really worked hard to survive was knowing that I had a family waiting outside for me. So that kept me moving.
And of course, I remember you telling the story that all six of you were awakened because you had the opportunity to really get to know one another and to see what was the most important thing in your lives, and it all turned out to be family and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
yeah.
the love that you had for your family. It's
Yeah.
so
All
yeah,
of us,
it's
let me tell you, was not only me. The six of us had wonderful family, and it was incredible that who fought very, very hard to bring us back. Not was only the wife, were their kids, the sons, the
yeah.
daughters. So they did great. When we knew the stories, what they did, the kids and the daughters, wow, we were surprised how they love their dads. Yeah.
Oh, that is so touching. Um, you know, every nonprofit carries the heartprint of its founder. That would be you. What part of Angels Helping in Earth is kind of the reflection of the man you became after walking through such injustice?
Well, exactly, because I want to have that touch that the people that come to the nonprofit and know my story can relate to them. So if they are going to anything in their life, knowing my story,
Yeah,
so I want to become a reference to them. And
right.
in the future, when I'm not here in this world, that the people can remember me that way.
Right, it's your legacy for sure. If someone is listening to today and feels broken, betrayed, forgotten, what is one practice from your darkest hours that they can use today to reclaim some hope in their life?
Well, something powerful is pray. You know,
Prayer.
when you pray and
Hmm.
you pray intentionally and you leave your burdens to God, and you really believe that He can restore your life, but you have to believe it. Because that is what faith is. So it's difficult, but when you make that connection, that you really are heard by God, and He's gonna, no matter what you're going today, He's gonna do His magic. Is where the miracles got unfolded. But you need to believe it. You really need to believe it.
Yeah, and you certainly did because you rediscovered your faith and you
I,
rediscovered
I
God.
in my case, I knew that I was there, but I was sure I was coming back. Everything I was doing was preparing me to come back. So I didn't abandon myself. I to begin to take care of my mental health, my physical health. For example, I try to maintain the routine of sleeping in a normal way. I always was thinking, if I don't do this, the day I come back to my house, I'm gonna be a burden to my family. I'm gonna be
Right.
like a zombie, you know. So I try to maintain a daily routine of sleeping, eating, exercising, reading, meditating. So I did a routine like I was in a normal place. Wait a moment. Lucy, I had to go.
Okay, sweetie. Yeah, I know how busy you are these days, so I totally understand. And so, what I want to do is really thank you. Don't forget to stop the recording, and thank you because your journey reminds us that leadership is not a title; it's a responsibility to lift others. So, so Angels Helping on Earth is living proof that even the deepest wounds can become a source of healing for the world. So, just quickly, how can people connect with you? Quickly,
JoseConnect.com. You go to my webpage,
JoseConnect.com.
JoseConnect.com, and the webpage of the foundation is Angels in dot Earth. I'm gonna put you the link.
Angels in dot earth.
If you go there and there's the donation button, because I not only receive donations to the cause, but also if somebody relates, resonate, want to collaborate, contact me, or through me or through the foundation.
Okay. Okay. Go. Okay, good. So thank you so much. I know that you have to go, and you're going to be a busy man these days anyway, so I know. So thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Don't forget to send me the recording.
I'm going to
Okay.
send it. Okay.